Welcome to Business Innovators Radio, featuring industry influencers and trendsetters sharing proven strategies to help you build a better life right now.
Hey now, this is Lisa C. Welcome to the show. Have you heard millennial real estate investors are on the rise? In an article this month, according to a real estate investing report by Harris Interactive, 55% of millennials said they were interested in real estate investing. And according to a Bank of America survey, 1 in 6 millennials have a savings exceeding $100,000. Wow, who knew? The article went on to say that the millennial generation is leading the housing market charge and changing the real estate investing forecasts. Baby boomers, you might need to take some notes. Today, my guest has extensive experience in real estate investing, has the pulse on the current environment, and can surely help millennials and anyone with 6 figures sitting in the bank or someone with no money at all to understand why it's a great time to get in the real estate investing game. Lloyd Segal leads the oldest and largest investor club in California, called the Los Angeles Real Estate Investment Club, LAREIC. Lloyd has over 30 years' experience in various capacities in real estate. He speaks at national conferences, is the author of 4 real estate books, and it's no surprise that Lloyd is considered America's leading house flipping expert. Please welcome Lloyd Segal. Hi, Lloyd. Welcome.
Hi there, Lisa. Pleasure to be here.
Awesome. So, Lloyd, I just want to kind of go back to that statistic about millennials as we get started. And were you aware about this trend? Are you seeing in your real estate investing clubs more millennial real estate investors attending?
Oh, definitely. There's been definitely a trend to younger and younger people at our monthly meetings, and also at our gold meetings and at our workshops and seminars. Okay,
so tell me about your investment club. Would a seasoned investor benefit from your meeting as well as a new investor?
Well, we take pride in saying that people that are investing from beginners all the way to experience, that there's always an opportunity for more education and more opportunities at the club events. We're celebrating our 23rd year, which makes us the oldest investor club in California, and actually we're probably the largest, too, at this point, with over 21,000 regular people being involved.
So tell me about your investment club meetings and the different levels and opportunities.
Well, we have our meetings are always the second Thursday of every month, the Olympic Collection, West Los Angeles. And we have, prior to our meetings, we've started something really unique. We have a vendors expo. Right now we have over 42 real estate professionals that provide different services to investors. And they set up tables, and we have a vendor expo that runs from 6:30 to 7:30, and then we have our meetings from 7:30 to 9:30. And we get national speakers that are experts on various types of real estate investing. And every month it's a different speaker. And then when the speakers finish at 9:30, we open up the vendor area again, and that goes from 9:30 to 10:30. So that's our monthly meeting. And then in addition to that, we have a workshop or seminar on the last Saturday of every month on a different subject. Every month a different subject that people can learn.
Excellent, excellent. So it sounds like education is your number one focus, and it's free to attend your monthly meetings. Is that correct?
Our meetings are free. Parking is free, which is a big deal in Los Angeles. And actually, the benefits we provide to real estate investors are 3. I should have mentioned that earlier. Number 1 is education. Number 2 is networking. And number 3 is mentoring. And when I refer to education, what I'm actually talking about is each of our monthly meetings, we bring a speaker in that's an expert in a particular type of investing from somewhere in the United States. Number two, and then they sometimes will do seminars the weekend after or 2 weekends after. Number two, when I talk about networking, what I'm referring to is what I just mentioned, the Vendors Expo, which we do once a month. And then number three, when I refer to mentoring, we put together a really super-duper mentoring program to help people that need to get started, or they've already bought a couple properties. They need to get over the hump to larger and better properties. So that's also an opportunity we provide for our members.
Excellent, excellent. It sounds like a great opportunity to network, obviously, find funding, make connections, and learn some to learn what's going on in the market currently and stay current on, opportunities.
Exactly. We try to bring additional information, updates at our meetings about median prices in the various counties, volumes of foreclosures, volumes of housing permit, what's happening with interest rates, whatever we can do to make the process of investing that much easier.
Excellent. So I still hear lingering fear since the 2008 real estate market crash. What do you think people believe that is not necessarily true about today's real estate market?
Oh, what an excellent question. So, number one, we have to start with the premise that with real estate, it goes through very defined cycles, ups and downs, ups and downs, ups and downs. And those cycles almost regularly run 5 to 10 years. So if you think about it, it's 2019 right now, 2020, we're already at over a 10-year cycle.
Mm-hmm.
So when markets are going up, the markets are trending up in real estate, then it's a really good time to fix and flip, because you can buy properties, you can fix them up, and then you can sell them a couple months later or a year later with an appreciated value because the market is trending up. Now, when the market shifts and starts heading down and we're in a down market, it's probably not a very good time to fix and flip because your prices are losing value. So it's an excellent time to buy properties at a discount and to hold on to them and rent them out. So the strategy you develop would be dependent on which direction the market's going. So as we speak right now, I wish I could be more optimistic, but in reality, I think the market indicators are showing us that we're in a shifting market. It's not necessarily an up market anymore, but it's certainly not a down market either. It's just shifting. It's slowing down. It's shifting gears, so to speak. So investors have to be more attuned that the market is slowing down. So they need to be more conservative of their investing, and they have to be cautious that if they are going to fix and flip, they better do it fast. And if they're going to buy and hold, then get prepared to start buying stuff as this market further shifts.
That is some valuable information, especially for a new or early investor. And
very cautious.
In terms of a seasoned investor, could be a great reminder, right?
Right.
So Lloyd, you have a great pulse on the Los Angeles market particularly. Let's dig into a couple of things that's happening here in the Los Angeles County area.
Okay.
First of all, globally, Airbnb, short-term rentals are hot and happening. But specifically in Los Angeles, I believe that the rent control initiative is taking place at the top of 2020, and
right.
And there's buzz that there are opportunities to build ADUs, additional dwelling units. Can you speak to that? I believe that there was a bill that was just passed.
Well, the bill passed. It's going to take effect January 1st, and that's going to make it a cause for evictions, which means you could no longer have a month-to-month or a 30-day tenancy. You're going to need cause in order to evict the tenant. So it's going to be much more difficult, which is why we're seeing some landlords in bad faith filing for evictions right now to get people out. And then some cities responding with short-term measures, ordinances to keep tenants in there. So that's sort of a turmoil in the market right now.
Sure. Can you crystallize that for a real estate investor to help them understand the opportunity walking into 2020?
Well, I think some landlords are going to want to dump their houses in apartment buildings. I think that's the opportunity. But you got to be careful, because you're going to get into a situation with rent control that's going to be very strict, and you're going to have tenants who you're not going to be able to remove, and you're not going to be able to raise the rent. That's just going to be a fact of life. And
how could the education and training that your club provides help a real estate investor take advantage of this? But
great question. Yeah. Great question. What we're going to do is we're organizing some special seminars and workshops in January on how landlords can deal with the new law, how it'll apply, how it'll affect you as a landlord, how it'll affect the tenants, how to deal with tenants, and how to establish values to your properties now that you're going to have fixed rents. So there's a lot of ramifications to it. We're going to be covering that in a couple upcoming workshops.
Excellent. And in terms of short-term rentals, does that affect the, with regard to Airbnbs, does that affect the real estate investing market? Does it open an opportunity for real estate investors? Can you speak to the Airbnb short-term rental?
We have an Airbnb expert once a year speak to us. That's scheduled, I believe, in April. And Airbnb is certainly a viable strategy, provided you have empty units. So you got to be, if it's already rented to tenants, you're obviously not going to be able to evict them. I hope you heard that in the background. That I'm rehabbing a house in Tarzana.
There we go.
They're making a lot of noise in the background. What's going to happen, though, is if you do have units or a house available for Airbnb, then you're going to be really positioned well to be able to take advantage of Airbnb. And I think the only thing investors need to watch out for is certain cities are passing ordinances, local ordinances, to restrict Airbnb, and that's where investors need to be cautious.
Absolutely. So with 30 years in the business, you've probably seen almost every
Make me sound so old.
Hey,
hold on a second. Let me put my wheelchair down, and my questions can answer the question.
Hold on tight.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, no.
Wait, let me take my pills here, and then okay.
Okay, you ready? Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
I love it. You've probably seen every possible real estate investing scenario, good and bad. Can you share a difference your club's training made for an investor, something that stands out for you?
Oh, wow. Let me think about that for a second. Somebody who is able to benefit from our education?
Yes.
Okay. Let's see. Who do I want to mention? Well, we got so many stories. I think Don might be a great story. Don was someone who started attending our meetings. He had done a couple preliminary deals in New Jersey, and then he moved to California. Didn't really understand the market, didn't understand the procedures. You know, California is a deed of trust state, not a mortgage state. So we go about things a little differently. We are an escrow state as opposed to a closing state that they have on the East Coast. There's no such thing as an escrow. Everyone comes to the table on the closing date and exchange documents and money. We don't do it that way. We have a 30-day escrow. So anyway, all these differences, different terminology. Didn't know where to get started, start taking some of our seminars, our workshops, and I helped him. He signed up for the mentoring program, and we started submitting offers to buy houses. By the way, I'm a big believer in submitting multiple offers until you finally get a property, because it is a competitive market. And he was able to get one of his offers accepted on a property in Westchester, just near LAX airport, and started to rehabbing it. And lo and behold, while we just started the rehab process, somebody else responded to one of his offers and said yes. So he couldn't obviously do two properties. So now, for the first time in California, he's rehabbing a house in Westchester. And then this second house, which was a deal in, I think, Whittier or Downey, the offer got accepted. And I said, well, you should wholesale it. So he turned around. We showed him how to wholesale it, found another investor, and did a wholesale deal, which is in essence legally an assignment of the contract, and got another $30,000. So he double-dipped it really quickly, and so one house he got a wholesale fee of $30,000. On the next deal, he's rehabbing it right now, hopes to sell it and make and do really well.
Love it.
Great success story.
Yeah, just to show that there are multiple strategies, and you help investors kind of determine and figure out what works best at a given time in the marketplace. Is that correct?
Right. We do that every day at the club. Every day.
Excellent. So let's shift for a second. How did you get the bug for real estate?
Oh, great story. I was working in a law firm representing rock and roll stars. We represented people like David Bowie, Marvin Gaye, Black Sabbath, Linda Ronstadt, Paul Butterfield, just a slew of artists. And the senior partner, Stan Diamond, said that the only way I could become successful as a lawyer is if I start finding my own artists. So I started tracking rock and roll stars at clubs, looking for somebody I could sign up and help them get a record deal. And I found an artist named Nick Gilder. You may not remember that name, but Nick Gilder had a number one. I signed him up as an unknown. We got him in a recording studio, recorded a song called Hot Child in the City.
Oh, yeah.
Remember that song, Hot Child in the City?
Yeah.
So we signed him to Crystal's Records. Right. Yeah. And so we signed them, and they gave us a big advance. And part of my representing the artist was my advance was $25,000, maybe $30,000, which was a big deal to me then.
Of course.
And and my dad, who's been a real estate investor his whole life, who owned several apartment buildings, and who I never really appreciated his real estate acumen, he said to me, tell you what, Lloyd, if you take that money, I'll match it, and we'll go buy a house with that. So with my money and his money matching, we bought a $100,000 house. I remember it distinctly now. $105,000 house, 3-bedroom, 2-bath on Cantaloupe Street in Van Nuys.
Okay.
You ready?
Center of the San Fernando Valley. Yes. Right.
In Van Nuys in the San Fernando Valley. I thought it was a total waste of my money. And my dad just kept saying, just do it. And so we bought that. We invested in that house, and about 2 years later, Nick's second and third album died. The singles died, and they dropped them from the label. The label said they weren't going to do any more albums with Nick.
Wow. So
I was in a panic. I remember calling my dad, who's my mentor and knows everything about business and real estate, and I said, Dad, I'm really in trouble now. The label has dropped Nick. We don't have a record company anymore. I'm going to have to start over finding him a deal. I just don't know what to do. I'm so depressed. And my dad listened patiently and then said, Lloyd, by the way, how's the house doing on Cantaloupe Street in Van Nuys? And I said, oh, Dad, it's doubled in value, but you don't understand. I lost my record deal. And I go on again incessantly about my recording artist, and my dad's just sitting back there like a Cheshire cat, smiling and saying, Lloyd, did you hear what you just said to me?
Right.
The house we bought for $105,000 is now worth over $200,000 in just 2 or 3 years, and you're worried about a recording contract for an artist. He says, you ought to realize how valuable real estate could be. And literally, the next day, I dropped rock and roll cold turkey and became a real estate investor.
I love the story.
I took every seminar I could. And I had already been nominated for Grammy Awards. I mean, I was completely immersed in music. I dropped cold turkey, took every seminar and workshop and boot camp I could on real estate, and took every penny I could and partners, and we invested in everything we could in real estate.
That's a great story. I love it.
Yeah,
I love it.
I haven't told that story in a million years. Thanks for asking.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, incredible journey you've had, career you've had, an attorney, a successful rock and roll attorney, turned rock star real estate agent, investor turned educator and advocate for real estate investors. Now, you also have done something else that is really near and dear to my heart, and I always love to highlight how my guests are giving back. Personal social and corporate social responsibility is top-notch in my book. And if you didn't know, audience, millennials are very big on working with people who give back. So, Lloyd, you have stopped what you're doing several times to go and volunteer in recovery efforts. Tell us about that.
Yeah, one of the many benefits of real estate investing is it gives you a lot of free time. So I joined up with Mercy Ships years ago. Mercy Ships is a nonprofit organization. They took 2 massive ocean liners and they converted them into portable hospitals. And whenever there's a national disaster anywhere in the world, these ships take off. Right now they're in the Bahamas, for example, after those awful hurricanes. And so the Mercy Ships arrive in different countries around the world to help out those people that have been injured and homeless because of national disasters. So I went to Haiti after the earthquake for a month and volunteered to help out with people, burying the people who died and helping the people who were, there were 250,000 people died in that earthquake, and another couple 100,000 were homeless. We set up tents for them. We had tent cities for those people to live in as they recovered. I helped doctors put prosthetics on legs and arms for people that lost arms and legs, and that tried to comfort children, orphans whose parents had died in the earthquake. So we did a bunch of different things like that. And also, I forgot I was in New Orleans after Hurricane Katrina, helped people in the 9th Ward, 9th Precinct. You
volunteered several times for several natural disasters, right?
Yeah. I also went to Phuket, Thailand after the tsunami. So, yeah, wherever there's in need, I try to take out time and go there.
And if you can just, briefly share what perspective how it shifted or changed your perspective. You're wheeling and dealing in real estate and dealing with deals and dealing with the problems that sometimes come along with real estate investing. So you think they're big problems, but then you go and you volunteer, drop everything, go and help, in this way with natural disasters. How did those experiences shift your perspective? Just very briefly, how did it shift your perspective?
Well, I think it's shown me the fragility of life, actually. How something you could just be moving right along, living an ordinary life, and all of a sudden there could be a national disaster and a natural disaster, and next thing you know, your neighbors are dead, homes are devastated, and people are really shell-shocked. I mean, it's horrifying when you see people wandering the streets of Port-au-Prince, homeless and lost their families. It's really gripping. That's number one. Number two is it makes me appreciate housing. It makes me appreciate the very thing I'm investing in. How crucial all the elements of housing, not just shelter. I mean, until further notice, I always say in my seminars, until further notice, people could prefer to live indoors. Mm-hmm. And even though that's kind of funny, it's so very true, and it distinguishes us from other beings on the earth. And because of that, the home, the hearth, it takes on so many responsibilities in our life. It's not just shelter, but it's where community is, it's where family is, it's where we eat, where we sleep, where we live. It's so crucial. And so if you can be part of that, if you can be an investor and participate in that part of life, how marvelous is that? That's why I always say everyone should volunteer for a weekend at Habitat for Humanity. Mm-hmm. It's like a free course in how to build a house, how to renovate a house. And look at the good you're doing. Look how many people you're helping when you volunteer for Habitat. You're letting a family live in a beautifully renovated home that wouldn't ordinarily have a home.
I love that.
That's where it struck me the deepest.
Yeah. And that's why real estate investing is a great safety net for people, because we don't know if some mass situation might occur and a family member or yourself could be involved, or a natural disaster. And real estate investing with the passive income, I mean, obviously there's active and passive, but would you agree that real estate investing offers a good safety net in times of trouble?
No question about it. I also think it teaches you when you go to these natural disasters that, don't sweat the small stuff. Don't get caught up in petty. I remember I was working with a real estate investor this weekend, and they were arguing with another real estate investor on a wholesale deal. They were arguing over $4,125 or $126. $4,100. They're arguing over it. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And after I saw life and death in Haiti and in New Orleans, it's like and what's happened now in the Bahamas, it seems so petty.
Yeah.
It seems so petty. Yeah. I said, you guys stop it. Let's just cut it down the middle and move on. We got so many more important things in life to worry about. And they agreed, and we did.
Love it. Love it. So, last question for you. To whet the appetite of our guests before we close, what types of investments are lucrative right now? I've been hearing buzz about the BRRRR method. What's hot, and what does the future of real estate look like?
Well, there's a lot of buzz about ADU right now, which stands for accessory dwelling unit, which means the county and the state and the city have broadened or taken away the restrictions to allow you to either convert garages or portions of a home into an additional unit, as well as building an additional unit on your property. So, for example, you could buy a home or a duplex, triplex, and if there's sufficient square footage in the lot size, you could actually add an ADU, which would bring in additional income and make the property more valuable. And you're doing a service because you're making, as the population of LA increases and the density magnifies, you're allowing an additional unit to be available that people can rent at an affordable price. So it's a win-win-win.
And can a new investor potentially invest in an ADU as well as obviously a seasoned investor?
Well, you wouldn't invest in ADU. What you would do is what we're even teaching right now is you're looking for properties where you have maybe a garage that's not being utilized, or you're buying a home that is on an unusually large lot. You see a lot of that in San Fernando Valley, really quarter-acre, half-acre lots where you could actually build an additional unit. So you'd still be looking for a house or a multi-unit building, but you would look for something that had an oversized lot.
Excellent. I see. Thank you. That's a great tip. Lloyd, it's been awesome speaking with you. Where can people find out more about you?
On our website, which is www.LAREIC.com, LAREIC.com, which stands for Los Angeles Real Estate Investors Club.
So, if you're a real estate investor or interested in learning more about investing in real estate, be sure to come out to the Los Angeles Real Estate Investor Club meeting that takes place on the second Thursday of each month. The location can be found in the show notes. I encourage you to check out a meeting. And as always, remember, in business, lead with value, and the resources, relationships, and revenue will follow.
Thanks for listening to Business Innovators Radio. To hear all episodes featuring leading industry influencers and trendsetters, visit us online at businessinnovatorsradio.com today.